Whoa, whoa. Gotta check the phasos. What's up? It's QuinceLu, and I'm here jumping off the porch with Dirty Glove Bastard.
You heard the word. Migo need him some swerve. Cleaned every plate I was served. Lately, caught every play I was first.
All right, so we got QuinceLu off the porch with us today.
Yes, sir. What's up? The Migo Bendito.
How you feeling today, man?
Shit, just hectic, in Atlanta for a little bit. Been moving around. The city's fast paced.
Oh yeah. What else you got working here in Atlanta?
I'm actually just, on the independent grind, getting my stuff all around, doing like the Nipsey route and just stamping myself on the streets everywhere around. We just went and got the song played, like one of the songs off the EP that I just dropped, 15 G's, Quince. We just got it played over there at a club, and we filmed the video. So I just been busy, really. I haven't really had time to chill.
Yeah. Do you get up here to Atlanta pretty often, or?
I actually know Atlanta, yeah, fairly well. I don't know it to the point where I would say it's like a second home, but like I said, independent grind. I've been coming here for a while, like, started out just like, I don't know if you ever heard of the bonfires, but just like the little shows over there and then little showcase stuff. And then before I knew it, I went and threw my own event, like booked out a venue for like me and my gang. And we did well. Like, I don't know how, I didn't live here, but I just kind of took the chance and was like, I'll rent a venue, I'll do this, I'll get these things together, and then bam. And I started to see it work and my connections got bigger. So now I've just been coming around, doing the promo like on the music and making sure that the project like gets bigger.
Yeah, no, that's what's up, man. All right, so let's take it back. You were born in Colombia?
In Colombia,
All
yeah.
Right.
Soy parcero.
So how old were you when you finally moved to Florida?
When I moved to Florida, I was like 5 years old around. Yeah. So I was fairly young, but I mean, it was still really different.
Yeah. What'd you think of Broward County at first?
Well, like when I was little, to me, it just seemed like you were still in the same area. So like one time I remember we went to Orlando one time, which is kind of far. And I was like, are we in Colombia? Because like, I don't know the difference, right? It just feels like you're just going here. But I think like being from Broward, I mean, the area that I was in, because I was in like northern Broward. So the culture hadn't totally like that Miami culture, that South Florida culture hadn't like fully integrated into Broward when I first came. As I grew up, it started becoming more and more like diverse. But the area I was near, it was closer to West Palm.
Okay.
So they were still that like very like residential, like, not as many immigrants. It was like the first wave coming into the city that I lived in. So, like I kind of did feel like it was pretty different going to school because like my parents were Hispanic. They only spoke Spanish. Like everybody else is like, like Americanized in some way. So I felt kind of like outsider. And like school at first was kind of difficult, but I mean, it made me who I am, right?
Yeah. How long did it take you to get comfortable and kind of adjusted?
Honestly, like probably till I was like 18. Like it took a while. Like that's really where like the music came. Like just coming from that experience when I was like growing up. When I first came here, I didn't really understand too much in terms of like American culture. And like, I go home and it's just my mom and dad speaking Spanish and they're watching Spanish TV. So it's like, the culture difference is way different. Like my school life and like my life aside from like when I was around my family. So, I don't want to say disconnected, but kind of disconnected. So for a while I did like being outside, I still felt like I was thinking about the way I talked. I was thinking about how people like perceived me, cause like being Hispanic growing up, bro, I had a mustache at like 5th grade. Like, my hair and my legs is getting hairier than everybody else. So you feel me? I'm a Migo. So as my features were different and some, little kids, like they don't do it to be mean all the time, but they do like point out your insecurities or like whatever makes you feel different. So I was like, I always was thinking about shit like, damn, like I'm thinking about what people think of me, how I say things. So yeah, like till I was 18, I just really stopped giving a fuck. I finally was like, I'm gonna be me, right? I'm just who I am. So like, I don't care anymore. Like, if I got an accent, then I got an accent.
Yeah, just totally embrace it, you know?
Yeah. Like, cause what else? What else can I do?
And you went to Florida State?
Florida State, yes, sir.
So why'd you choose FSU, man?
So I went to FSU because, so when I was growing up, I was an undocumented immigrant for like a while. I'm legal now, so you feel me? So it's saying on record that I'm like, but growing up, so I was just like, man, the only way I can get into college, like, or that I'll get like something is maybe if I have a scholarship, they'll be like, you know, we can't let this kid, because I was like running into the issue of like, well, what if I graduate and I can't even go anywhere because I don't have papers? So like a lot of my friends kind of just stopped fucking with high school. They were like, whatever, like it ain't that big of a deal because, you know, we're illegal anyways. If I don't have my papers by the time I get out of high school, like, what's the point anyways? And this is before the DREAM Act came, you know?
Okay.
So nobody knew that they could go to school after that. If it wasn't for the DREAM Act, like for instance, one of my boys, I'm graduating. He fucked around all high school and then he's like, bro, you know, Obama did the DREAM Act and now there was a chance for like, the only thing is that you got to pay in out-of-state tuition. So even though you were in Florida and you had been there your whole life, you had to pay like the same price that out-of-state people had to pay. But luckily, I got my papers when I was a senior in high school. So that was like a big day. And then FSU was just the school that accepted, because we had this thing called Bright Futures. Mm-hmm. So it's like a scholarship for like students. And it wasn't too hard to get. You just had to be kind of smart. And I was like always kind of challenging myself because I didn't really care. Like, for instance, I didn't really get along with like the people in the smart classes, just because they were like really smart and like the way they interacted was a little different. And I like hip hop growing up, like, you know, so my style was very different than them, but I couldn't like dumb myself down to being like regular classes and know that I get like an A or whatever. So I was like, nah, I'm just, and my mom's like, she wouldn't really check my report card because they couldn't check the computers. So they didn't even know, but they'd always be like, are you doing well? Are you doing well? And I'd be like, Mom, I'm an AP. I get C's. But if you got, like, the way it worked is if you got C's, it, like, weighted more. Mm-hmm. So that's what I did. I just stayed in there and, like, and somehow, like, because of it, my GPA ended up being really high, even though my grades weren't necessarily, like, A's. But it weighted more. So I got the Bright Futures, not the full. And it covered, like, 75% of my school. So, you feel me? FSU was, like, the only school. It was just because I wanted to be somewhere different, without like leaving Florida either and losing that, you know, Bright Futures. So that was like the farthest north that I knew. And I was like, FSU, like, you know, everybody's picking FSU, UM down south. So I always like to do something kind of different from like what everybody else does. That's really why. But I'd never been there. I just went like, like I went to school and then I figured it out. I'm like, whoa, this shit is way different than South Florida.
North Florida's its own. It's like an own state.
Exactly. Like, but you wouldn't think until you go over there, and then you're like, damn, like North Florida is like real different from the South, like of South Florida. This is actually the South. So, but it was different.
What did you get your degree in?
Communications.
Okay.
Yeah. So it kind of took me. It's humanities, but like communications, whatever. So. Okay. I really wasn't in, like, when I first went to school, I instantly started to just find a hobby because I played sports all of high school. So I was always like, you know, it was like, because I couldn't get a job and I couldn't work for like the majority of the time because of my papers. So my mom was just like, you got to stay busy. And I wanted to stay busy. So I was like, I was always playing sports, whether it was track, soccer, football, like I was just doing it. And football, like, is the reason I got my name. But, like, I didn't understand football like that, especially coming from where I come from. Like, nobody plays, so you have no one to tell you how it goes. And But I was just like, I'm gonna play it just because like I like the toughness and the idea of like, you gotta stand amongst like people that are trying to knock your head off. I guess like that idea of that it's like risky and it's aggressive. Like maybe that's why I like the streets too. Like it's just the danger.
Yeah. So when you graduated, did you stay in Tallahassee or did you go back home?
No, I left right away to school. So I had actually told my parents, I'm like, look, it just makes more sense if I stayed like a little, maybe not even went to school right away. But they're coming from other countries, so the idea is that you have to be in like a university. Like you have to go. If you didn't go to a university, like we failed you, like we didn't bring you here and did what we had to do, like you didn't go. So I was like, and I'm telling them, I'm like, yo, we could save money. I could just go to like FAU or, BC for a little and it still count the same. It's probably less expensive because I don't have to pay for anything up there, And, or even, I was even thinking about just not even going to school, going to like work or something, get some money. But they were like, nah. So I was like, you know what, whatever. I'll just go knock it off. Like, if they took this risk to come here, that was always my thing growing up. I was always thinking about like, if they took this risk to come here and do all this shit here, like the least I could do is like please them in that aspect, like with the school. Cause they didn't, everything else is like whatever, but with school, they were like, try. So I was like, all right, I'll do it, and I've been able to manage like with those hard classes, like just getting by. So I took a shot and just went. And then it took me a while. It took me and I was already ahead in like technically because of all the classes that I had. So it still took me like 5 to 6 years to graduate because I started music, like I said, once I came in. So between doing music and doing like that, it kind of got in the way. So I was really like disconnected from it, but I finished it.
Yeah. So who'd you grow up listening to?
So, I mean, being from South Florida is gonna sound kind of corny, but like real like shit, because this is like where we from. Pitbull was a big influence to me in some way, but I'm talking old school Pitbull, like Dale, like not Mr. Worldwide. I'm talking about Mr. 305 when he was
a gangster rapper.
Yeah, when he was.
Started.
You feel me? Like people don't know that though. They think, oh, you said Pitbull. Like I'm like, nah, he was out there grinding. Like so he was kind of like my role model locally from where I was from. Cause like I said, I didn't know really any rappers that were like of a Hispanic background overall, cause he's not even Colombian, he's Cuban, but and he was using Spanish lingo and like the accent. So I'm like, it kind of gave me not some hope to rap right away, but it made me feel like, okay, like, I'm not a foreigner to that landscape either. Like, there's Hispanics in this too. So, like him, really just everything that was on the radio. Cause at the time, like I didn't have like an iPhone, like, I'm 25. So when I was growing up, like it was the Apple and everything is coming up so quick. And like I said, I'm undocumented. So it isn't like my parents had like, yo, here you go, the newest. I'm always getting everything later than everybody else when I was growing up. So I'm having like the iPod, I can only fit like a few songs, and that didn't even come until later. So I just be in the car listening to 99 Jams, like on repeat, or Power 96, or you feel me, all those stations that were there. And then, I mean, Biggie, like all the big ones, but that's because they played them there. Mm-hmm. I was always craving for more music, and I was like, damn, I'm so limited to just these artists. But definitely like the rap grades, like, Big Pun. So for instance, that's another Hispanic one that like, I was like, cause I was always looking, I'm like, damn, maybe I'm not the only like one. So when I'd see somebody like that, my eyes would draw to it. But yeah, Biggie and Pac a lot. But I really wasn't a fan of Pac's music like that in terms of like sonically. Like I like what he was saying, but that I would just ride and bump Pac all day, like it wasn't, but the way he spoke to people, like I'd watch the interviews on YouTube and I'd be like, he talked with his hands, like the idea that he made you felt like, I know what you're going through and I feel you. Like I'm the same way. That's kind of like how, like I kind of made my mold as a person, like being very empathetic, like making people feel like when I speak, like, yo, I'm speaking from the heart, and I hope you feel me too, because I know what you're feeling too. So that was definitely my biggest influence. And then Jay-Z, because of like the work ethic, like the idea that he's like, well, also because he like, people don't know like his old shit, because he comes from like Brooklyn, and he's in New York. All the like slang he uses sometimes is a lot of Hispanic slang. Like he'll say like a lot of Spanish words and stuff. So I used to think he was like Dominican or something. So I was like, oh shit, like he must have family that's Dominican, because he knows how to speak. But that was just how smart he was. He was in the streets. He was like, but I'm gonna be able to pick up language. Like I'll do whatever. And that's like my biggest role model in rap, especially as I started rapping. Like, cause I respected what he was saying more, like on the blueprints. Then I started to get it. I'm like, oh, he's giving you the blueprint, like to really do this. So I was like, so that's, I would say that's my biggest influence.
Yeah. All right, talk to us about this new project, man. 15 G's. Right?
15 G's, yeah. So, at some point along the lines of being a rapper, you know, it's just, you know, rap and street life kind of like go hand in hand in some way. And I wanted to make myself independent, you know, like in independent, I meant like I wasn't looking for a deal. I wasn't looking, because I was pushing my dream and my aesthetic. Like from the get-go, when I started rapping, I just was like, you know, I'm gonna just do this thing and I'm gonna figure it out. And I'm, like I said, I'm not somebody that can just dumb down. So a lot of like bigger people, executives, they would see the talent in me, like in performances, because sometimes they hear the music and they were like, you know, it's different. I'm speaking about something different. Coming from like an immigrant perspective, it was different. So they're like, you know, you gotta be more commercial. They even try to tell me like, yo, you gotta be like Pitbull, but like the pop star. I'm like, bro, like I want to rap. Like maybe when we get there, we'll figure it out. But like, I want to rap. Like I just want to share my story. So I kind of like really stuck to that, and it made it harder possibly because people saw that I wasn't very like, oh, just go with what they tell you, like very manipulable. So like I remember, I think I got my first like approach by like for like a deal, kind of like a year into it. And I had just like looked at it, and I'm like, you know, they're buying me bottles, they're taking me out, they're doing all this stuff. I felt like I was being recruited to play ball. And then I'm like, and then I'm looking at the thing, and I'm like, yo, like, you feel me? I get like 10% of everything. And I was like, but you feel me? I think they just thought I wasn't like literate enough to know. I'm just like, I don't even need a lawyer to know that this shit is not good. So I'm like, nah, I'm good. I'll just stick it out. And as I kept going, I'm like, you know, I was building my own name, doing a lot of things, but I'm like, bro, I'm tired of being limited by money. Like, and I'm not gonna go like rob or do nothing, but you know, I did what I had to do, and let's just say it started with 15 G's. And so, and you know, if you know, then you know what that 15 means, because it's a little extra than what it normally is.
So what's the single that you're pushing off this project right now?
So the single before the project came out was called Coronavirus.
Okay.
So the idea actually around the whole EP, like I said, what I just said, is actually relating it all to the quarantine. Because I was in quarantine, you know, I was with my publicist / girl, and we were just like, you know, in the house the whole day because you couldn't do anything. So we're like, dang, let's come up. Maybe we should make some music or something. I was like, hell yeah, let's do it. So I just started making some music. I was like, you know, I know this producer that's big when I first started, and now he's part of that Internet Money collab.
Okay.
So that's why the sounds are very similar. So I was like, yo, I know this producer. I know he's like mad Hollywood now. He lives in LA. He be in and out. He don't really answer to me that much anymore, but he still, you know, shows love. But people get up there. I've learned to like, you know, you wait your turn. When it's your turn, it's your turn. Like, so it's no hate. I just hit him up one day. I was like, you know what? I'll hit him up. Let's see if he'll give me these beats. So I was like, yo, I want to make this thing, like, blah, blah, blah. Yo, hits me up right away. Probably because when quarantine started, everybody had nothing to do. So he was finally at home not doing nothing. So I got him at the right time. I hit him. I'm like, yo, I want to do this project, blah, blah, blah. Like, we say, how much would you charge me? He's like, hey, don't worry about it. Take whatever you want, split it 50-50. That's it. Never got back to me after that. Like, cause I wanted to do the project like, yo, you help me, pick the beats, I'll do whatever. Nah, he never responded after that. But he said enough to be like, take what you want. Like, I like the idea. Just split it 50-50. Don't worry about it. So I was like, all right, I'll take it and run with it. So I started picking the beats. Like, we just sitting there. I was like, let's make a cover. So I went in the living room. We put like a thing. And that's how I did the cover of the album. Like, because the whole idea was like, on the 15 Gs, like on the cover, I put 5G, like kind of like in different color than the 1 and the S. It's kind of like to say the 5G, as in like the whole conspiracy. Because, everybody was saying like, it's 5G towers. It's the 5G towers. So I was like, well, it's a conspiracy behind like the whole project and everything. Like, you might think this was super like thought out or like, like a bunch of production. Nah, like that picture is me in the house. Like, we were just doing some shit and like just fucking around and then the whole album came away about that way too. I was like, what if I related all the topics of what's going on in like this whole quarantine episode, but I made it all about like street life or like just things that I've been through and like, and like quarantine, all that, you in the songs, I'm relating it to all that. So I picked Coronavirus because that's the only song actually in the whole thing that I used the title of the song. Every other song, like I don't really mention the titles in any way. I just say, like, I just make the music, right? And it's just the idea of what it means.
How's feedback been so far?
Really good. So that's kind of what's made me be like really to the point of like just pushing it hard. I got on this street promo. I was like, I don't know, the universe is weird in the way it works sometimes. So the beginning of this year, I was like down bad, like I didn't really have I didn't have a car. I didn't have a house. Even though I was in this street shit, I was down like money, in the beginning of the year over some other stuff. So, and my boy dies like this year too. Like it's just 2020 just starts like real dark. Shout out to Dizzy and the whole Oxy Gang team. R.I.P. my dog. Long live Dizzy. But you feel me? I was just going, like a lot was going on but like surprisingly while all that was going on, I was actually like rising up and coming back up. Like I was getting money. I got a car. I got this. Like, and in January I didn't have anything. So like, boom, I just started elevating fast. And I got right with the people in the streets that I needed to get right with. So I was straight, like, and then I just felt like, dang, like I even felt stronger than ever before because I had been so down that I was like, damn, I was able to come up from that. Like, I'm not afraid no more. Nothing can like stop me. So I just made the music and that's what it was about. Like how I came from like that situation and just kind of rose up. And then the idea really is like, it's a little prequel to like an actual mixtape that I've been working on called Migo.
Okay. So
it's the same idea with the 15s in the middle, but it's, but this one's like, nah, I became the Migos. I started with 15 Gs, now I'm the Migo. Like, so yeah, if you know, you know.
How will that new project differ from the one you just put out?
It was way different because I could finally make music that I wanted to hear and that I wanted the world to hear, like in terms of like the way I make music. Like I'm not gonna say I was restricted before, but I'm such a big person on like telling the truth in terms of like my truth. Like I can't just go, like when I started rapping, I couldn't just rap and be like, I come out in Tallahassee and be like, yeah, I sell bricks. I ain't never seen a brick in my life. So they would have tried me, right? So, and I wasn't gonna be there and be like, I'm like some super like intellectual dude because I'm not. So I was just like, where do I fit in? I was like, I'm just this. I'm like the immigrant. And I just went about it that way. And I was like, damn, I got to be true to myself and make music to like kind of get people to like this truth. So you feel me? It felt kind of constraining because I was like stuck to always trying to like what I had been through in that aspect. But then once I got into music, started going through other stuff in music, like it just started building, especially being independent and not really ever having like a handout or anything. It just kept building my character and giving me stronger music to build on. Cause now I'm like, I'm not this timid dude. I'm like, bro, I do this. You feel me? With confidence. Like you could tell me no and that's straight. I'm gonna find a way to get a yes. Right? So, and it just, you know, it resonates in the music. That's why I looked up, like, I wasn't on him for a long time, but before he passed, I had just gotten onto him, Nipsey Hussle. And I had like, I'm like, cause his interviews start, you know, the Victory Lap was doing a really good promo, like campaign. Like you see, like I knew the game, like from the outside perspective. So I'm like, if shit's working, it's cause somebody's like really, you know, there's a team behind there doing like the right stuff. So I was like, I'm watching him speak and how he said like he'd been in it for like a long time, but he never cared because his idea was like, I'm gonna set up these stores, I'm gonna do this, like, and he's never been on the radio, right? He never got on the radio, but still managed to sell records and eventually do what he did with like selling $100 albums, I think it was. Yeah, so I was like, yo, that's crazy. Like this man understands me. Like I get what he's saying. And I was like, yeah. So I started the same way. I just started, and then, you know, it just like picked up, and then like now I'm here, like pushing it. Like I said, put my flyers everywhere, every city that I can go to, and I'm just seeing like everything I accumulated over the years, like kind of like piecing together into other, like a bigger thing.
All right, what else are you working on? What else is coming up for you?
So in the works right now, we have a whole movie series, like, I don't know how you would say, but like, basically I did a video for every single song on the EP. It's only 5 songs, so it's pretty short. It's not even like 15 minutes long, because I wanted people to just pop it in, be like, damn, this song rides, next song's there. You know, like there's no dragging. There was just, I want to hear it again because it's short. And then even like down to the features, like I would make my section a little like smaller because I didn't care to really rap in it. I didn't want to drag the song. So I'm like, let the other artist shine more because he'll give it a different element. Like I was big on when I heard music, I like to hear different elements. Like I don't like when you just hear a project and it's like, you don't see any transitions or anything changing. Like I like new voices. That's why I like Kanye and all that, where like, you know, how he could put big stars and put them in certain songs and be like, dang, that sounds good. Travis Scott, like all that. Same thing. Like, but I don't do it with no famous people. I do it with my homies. Like, yo, I know you'll sound good on this. Like, so I was like, boom, boom, boom. And every single feature and everybody in that like has something to do with like what's really going on with me, like in real life, like when I was doing that stuff. And not planned. Like I was just in the studio and like all those people were in that day, and I'm like, you know what? You get on this song. You get on that song. You get on this one. And then bam, like it was done. And I'm like, all right. It's like, it came out better than I thought.
Yeah. Any shout outs before we wrap this up?
Hell yeah. Shout out Oxy Gang. Shout out all my people in the A, Ace Chan, the whole family, Familia, La Familia. Shout out to my people, Nino and all them over here in the A. Shout out to my publicist, because she get the job done. And shout out to the whole state of Florida, Broward County 954, Tallahassee 850. It's QuinceLu.
You heard the word, Migo need him some swerve. Cleaned every plate I was served. Lately, caught every play I was first. Damn, I feel overworked when I